Welcome everyone to our lesson where you will learn super important phrasal verbs. I know it's one of your favorite topics, isn't it? And I see Ariel already using a super important phrasal verb, checking in, which has multiple meanings. So great job there. And let's get started. Why don't we talk about some phrasal verbs with romantic relationships? You could say, they've been seeing each other for months. Okay. So to see someone, to see someone. This isn't a phrasal verb, but I wanted to start with just a regular example before we move on to set the context because in English, there isn't always a phrasal verb to say everything. Okay. Sometimes you have to use regular verbs, and this is the case, but I wanted to make sure you have the context before we continue on. So you can say they've been seeing each other. Now, this is not a phrasal verb because what is a phrasal verb, everyone? What is the grammatical structure of a phrasal verb? And why isn't this a phrasal verb? So this is also why I wanted to start with this example, so you see the difference clearly. A phrasal verb is a verb plus a preposition. And those two together form a specific meaning. So here we have a verb, see, but we don't have a preposition, such as see on, up, around, over, off. That would be a phrasal verb. But this does have a non-literal meaning. And that's what makes phrasal verbs difficult is they don't have literal meanings. But in this case, to see someone, that doesn't mean I physically see the person. It means I'm in a romantic relationship with that person. So to date someone regularly. Now, you can also just use the verb date. They've been dating since May. They've been seeing each other for months. So notice here it's in the present perfect continuous because it started in the past and it continues until now. And yes, exactly, Merrick. Thank you. Verb plus preposition. That's a phrasal verb. Okay, let's keep going. How about this one? So there is a phrasal verb here. Now that you see, that's the literal meaning. Now that you see the difference between a regular verb that doesn't have a literal meaning and a phrasal verb, which is two parts, a verb and a preposition. And again, also, they don't have literal meanings. So you can't look at the word ask and then look at out, which is the opposite of in. You can't understand the meaning. Did you hear? Notice that pronunciation. Did you hear that Tim finally asked Leah out? So here, to ask someone out, you have probably done this in your lifetime, most likely, even if you're a woman. To ask someone out is to invite someone on a date. Now, here is a very important question that I want all the ladies specifically to remember. Are you asking me out? Are you asking me out? Because sometimes someone might say, hey, do you want to go out for dinner? Or hey, do you want to see a movie? Hey, do you want to grab a cup of coffee? But you're not sure if it's romantic or if the person just wants to do something socially and sees you as a friend. So if you want to be clear, if you're going to the movies romantically or as friends, you would ask this question. Are you asking me out? Are you asking me out? So ladies, you will likely use that one more than men, I would imagine. Okay. Let's keep going. But remember, this is only used for romantic situations. So if you just want to go for dinner with a friend or a coworker, you would not use this. And that's important because phrasal verbs, well, regular verbs as well, they have specific meanings. Thank you. You know what's coming. You're my first. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. How about this? So remember, it was, did you hear? Did you hear that Tim finally asked Leah out? Yeah, I heard that Leah turned him down. Ooh, yeah, I heard that Leah turned him down. So this is a continuation of what we just saw. Yeah, I heard that Leah turned him down. So to turn someone down, this means to say no. So to reject an offer or invitation. But this is not only used in a romantic context. You can turn down a job offer. You can turn down a promotion. You can turn down a social invitation. So there are many things you can turn down. You can also turn down a romantic invitation. Oh, so grammatically, she let him down. This is grammatically correct. And it also makes sense. But what does it mean? Because phrasal verbs have very specific meanings and their meanings change based on context. So, does anyone know what this means? She let him down. She let him down. Ooh, who knows? That's a good one. Great job. Okay, let's keep going. How about, and yes, she disappointed him. She disappointed him. She let him down. I'm so sorry I let you down. I'm so sorry I disappointed you because I did something that was opposite of your expectation of me. Let's keep going. I think Leah's still hung up on her ex. Oh, you may have heard this one in music, movies, TV shows. It's very common. I think Leah's, so this apostrophe S represents Leah is. I think Leah is still hung up on her ex. But notice the sentence structure because this is actually the passive voice. So to be hung up on. Now, some phrasal verbs in English have two prepositions. Now, often the second preposition is only required if you specify the object, the someone, or the something. So to be hung up on someone. This means to be emotionally stuck or fixated on someone. So you still have feelings for that person, even though they're your ex. Ex means you're not in a romantic relationship now, but you were in the past. So you can say ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, but you can also just say ex, her ex. Make sure you spell it as EX and not just X, even though the pronunciation is exactly the same, but you must spell it as EX, X. So to be hung up on, She just still keeps thinking about him all the time. So that's why it's very commonly used in TV shows, movies, books, songs, because it's such a common thing that, let's be honest, we have all been in that situation where we're hung up on someone. Let's keep going. That makes sense. So we're continuing the conversation. I think Leah is still hung up on her ex, and this is the reason why she turned him down, even though he finally asked her out. So that's the situation we're in. That makes sense. So the fact that Leah is still hung up on her ex makes sense. Seems logical. That makes sense. Leah and her ex-boyfriend, they only broke up 3 months ago. So it's logical that she's still hung up on him because the relationship is fresh. It only ended 3 months ago. So to break up, this means to end a romantic relationship. You don't break up with your friends. Okay. You definitely end friendships. You end what else? I don't know. You end business relationships, but you don't use the word break up. You only use the word break up to end a romantic relationship. Okay. They only broke up. So they broke up. They broke up. Broke is the past simple because it already happened. It happened 3 months ago. They only broke up 3 months ago. So she still hung up on her ex. No, end up does not mean break up. They're not the same at all. Totally different meanings. Okay. Yes, they are no longer together romantically. They are not in a relationship. So it would be very common if maybe you haven't seen someone in a while and you say, "Oh, how's Sarah?" or "Oh, how's James?" And that's their partner. And they say, "Actually, we broke up." Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. How are you? Are you okay? So that's a very common situation that happens. Let's keep going. Okay, so we're continuing on. They broke up. They being Leah and her ex boyfriend. I know Tim. Remember, Tim is the man that likes Leah. He likes her romantically, not just as friends, because he asked her out. I know Tim really wants to settle down, to settle down. This is a very common phrasal verb as well, to settle down. This means when you settle down, basically you decide to live a more stable and responsible life. So, how do you do that? Well, in this context where Tim wants a girlfriend, Leah, and he wants to settle down, it sounds like he wants to commit to Leah. And he wants eventually to get married, get a house, have kids, have a steady job, get a car, a mortgage, all those things that are part of a steady, stable life, responsible life. So, this is commonly used as advice. You need to settle down. You're in your 40s. You need to settle down. So that could be something that people say as advice. Or you could say, I'm not ready to settle down. So someone might ask, when are you going to ask Leah to marry you? And you say, I'm not ready to settle down, which means you're not ready to commit to Leah for the long term. House, marriage, babies, dog. You're not ready for that type of life. I'm not ready to settle down. So maybe that's what you can say. My sister's trying to settle down. Exactly. Very nice. Tim wants to work it out. Well, when you work something out, it means that you have a conflict with that person and you want to resolve the conflict. So I wouldn't actually use that with Tim. Maybe I would say Leah still hung up on her ex. She wants to work it out, which means she wants to. There is, of course, some sort of conflict because they were together and they're no longer together. So the reason they're no longer together, something happened, some sort of conflict, disagreement, whatever, different. He wanted to settle down, she didn't, or whatever. So to me, it seems logical that Leah wants to work it out with her ex. So I would use that phrasal verb for sure, but I don't see a conflict between Tim and Leah. Okay. So, as you can see, it's very common to have a conversation with someone, and every single sentence you can use a phrasal verb. It is absolutely not a requirement, but it is very common for native speakers to speak phrasal verb, phrasal verb, phrasal verb, phrasal verb, because in most situations, there is a way to say it using a phrasal verb. But I say most, not every situation. So just keep that in mind as well. Yeah, exactly. She wants to settle down and become a mother. This is absolutely a good example of what it's like when you settle down. All right, let's keep going. And if you're enjoying this lesson, learning all these phrasal verbs you can use in your personal life, and of course, a lot of movies, TV shows, books, and songs, people love singing about their relationships and their failed relationships. So you will hear these phrasal verbs all the time in everyday English because everyone loves talking about their relationships. Work it out. So, to work something out, it represents a conflict, a disagreement, a different perspective. If you work something out, it means you resolve that conflict. So, you go from to that would mean you worked it out. All right, everyone. I'm so glad you're enjoying the lesson. Thank you so much. Woohoo. That's great. And of course, make sure you like this lesson. It truly helps support the channel, and subscribe so you're notified every time I go live. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can download it from my website. You'll see the link in the description. So just enter your name and email, and this will be emailed to you. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. As always, Ariel, I really appreciate it. And if you want to keep learning phrasal verbs, if you want to get my support to make sure you're using them correctly, your grammar is correct, your pronunciation is correct, your context is correct, you can get that in the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program to help you understand real English and sound fluent in only 90 days. So you can learn more in the description as well. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, this is where phrasal verbs become challenging because they can have similar meanings, but they're not necessarily synonyms, which means replaceable. So to figure something out means you now understand something. To work something out means you've resolved it. So they're not the same at all. So no, work something out does not mean to figure it out. They are different. So Leah might say, I need to figure out why James broke up with me. So she needs to understand the reason. James just says, Leah, I don't want to be with you anymore. Okay. But she doesn't know why. She needs to figure it out. Now, once she understands the reason, it's because James wanted to settle down, start a family, but he didn't think Leah was ready. Now she needs to work it out. She needs to resolve that conflict so she can go back to James and say, James, I do want to settle down. I want to start a family. I want to get married. And then they will live happily ever after. So they are not the same. Okay, let's keep going. No, they are not. Please don't share bad information. That is not true. Okay, deliveries. Let's keep going with phrasal verbs. No, they're not the same. They're similar, but not the same. Find out means that you locate information. Figure out means you understand something. So, figure out is more of a mental process, and find out could be just searching on Google or asking ChatGPT. They're similar, they're more similar than the last pair, but they're not identical. Okay, let's keep going. I hope my package shows up today. Have you ever said this? Oh, I really hope my package shows up. So show up is used to mean to appear or to arrive. Now, we often use this with people as well. So you could say the delivery guy showed up late. He arrived or appeared late. Now, in the sense of appear, it can be unexpectedly. So you might say to your friend, you'll never guess who showed up at my office today. So who just appeared at my office today? So this is a very common phrasal verb, and you can use it with both people and things like a package in this case. So you might say, you get your package and then you open it and you say, oh no, they mixed up my order. Now, this happens, of course, with deliveries, but also it can happen a lot at restaurants. You would use this with food delivery. If you order Uber Eats, maybe you wanted the chicken pad thai. Okay, that's what you ordered. And then they gave you shrimp pad thai, or they gave you shrimp and rice, just something totally different, not pad thai. You can say they mixed up my order. So they confuse things. Maybe someone else ordered shrimp and rice and you had the chicken pad thai, but then they mixed up the addresses and they sent them to the wrong location, or they just put the wrong thing in the package. So mix up is very commonly used at restaurants, deliveries, food, when you order things. And it can also be commonly used when you are following a recipe. You might say, I mixed up the salt and sugar, or I mixed up the measurements. I put 1 tablespoon of baking soda, but the recipe said a teaspoon, so you could mix it up. It is very common. How about this one? I need to send this back today. I need to send this back today because they mixed it up. They mixed it up. So this would be return. So you could absolutely say, I need to return this today. No problem there at all. So you can absolutely use the regular verb return. I need to send this back today. I need to return this today. Jesus said, I showed up on time to the lesson because I love phrasal verbs. And that's great because native speakers love them too. But the thing is, native speakers, it's not like we realize, of course, I'm an English teacher, so it's different. But native speakers don't realize they use phrasal verbs. It's not like they consciously think, I'm going to speak with phrasal verbs. It's just what we prefer in our vocabulary. So they come out naturally. But I'm glad you love them as well. Okay. Send back, those 2 words mean return. So you don't say return back, you just say return. But send back 2 words, return 1 word. So don't confuse them together. Yeah, exactly. I had to send my delivery back because they mixed up. Exactly. Very nicely done. Great job. Yeah, you can absolutely say, send it back to me. Return it, the package, to me. Great job. This shirt is the wrong size, so I need to send this back to the warehouse. Exactly. Very nicely done. I like how you provided the reason why. Let's keep going. I left instructions to drop it off at my neighbor's. Remember, we are in the context of deliveries. So it represents the package or the delivery. And to drop something off, well, you probably know this with people because you pick up your kids from school, you drop your kids off at school, or you drop off your friend at the airport. So you probably know this with people, but you can also use it with things like a package or a delivery, an order. So to drop off means to deliver something, the package, somewhere, in this case, my neighbors. Now there's an apostrophe S with neighbor because it represents my neighbor's house, my neighbor's condo, my neighbor's apartment. But you don't need to say that because it's obvious based on context. But you can't just say at my neighbor, because if you just have neighbor, a neighbor is a person, and you don't drop a package off at a person. Grammatically, that doesn't make sense. So the apostrophe S is required here, and it represents house. Yeah, just remember to use dropped me off. So you can say, my friend dropped me off. If you say dropped me, it would be like this. So my mother dropped me when I was a baby. You don't want to say that. Yeah, this is perfect. I love this. We got the phrasal verb head out, drop off, look after. Bravo. Well done. I'm heading out for the weekend. Such a natural thing a native speaker would say. To head out means to leave. I'm leaving for the weekend. Maybe you're going to the beach. Maybe you're going to your parents' house. Maybe you're going to your girlfriends, your boyfriends. I'm heading out for the weekend, but I left instructions to drop it, the package, drop it off at my neighbor's. So to leave the package at your neighbor's house so they can look after it until I return. So to look after something means to care for it. Now you can look after a pet or a child, which sounds more like provide care. Now to look after a package, it just means to provide security, make sure nobody steals it, make sure it's not left out in the rain and it gets damaged. That would be look after. Perfect. Perfect job. Well done. Let's keep going. Can you help me track down my order? So you could be talking to a customer service rep. You could be talking to your boyfriend, girlfriend, because they're better with technology than you and you don't know how. You could be talking to a parent, or a parent talking to a child, because generally children are better with technology than parents. But can you help me track down my order? So to track something, or to track someone down. Ooh, you hear to track someone down. You hear this a lot in detective movies, spy movies, movies to do with the police or the FBI, things like that. Maybe even legal, in the legal world, because private investigators have to track people down. So in this case, to track down my order, to track something down, it would be to find something after searching. But it sounds like, yeah, you just have to locate the information and then you have to find something. So the something is the order and then the delivery date of the order or the receipt, for example. Yeah, exactly. So in an investigative, police, or maybe even a legal context, Akhtar is tracking criminals down. Exactly. Oh, this is perfect. You could do it with friends. Exactly. I lost my friends, so I have to track them down. Maybe instead of lost, maybe I lost touch. So you can lose touch with someone. So most likely you have lost touch with people you went to university with, people you went to high school with, elementary school. Maybe you moved cities 10 years ago or moved countries 10 years ago. So you've lost touch with your neighbors, with your old friends. So you might want to track them down. And thankfully, with social media, you would be surprised how easy it is to track someone down. Okay, let's keep going and talk about health and wellness because there are lots of phrasal verbs we can use as well. You should get that rash checked out. You should get that rash checked out. So, a rash represents if on my skin I had an area that was red, or maybe an area that was red and had bumps on it, you could say that's a rash. Thankfully, I don't have one. You could get a rash from an allergic reaction, from I don't know, many things, I guess, an allergic reaction. Maybe if a plant touched you and the plant had a substance on it, or maybe there's some sort of infection. There could be many different reasons. That's why you should get it checked out. So notice the sentence structure here, because yes, check out is the phrasal verb, but you should get something checked out. The something represents something concerning or suspicious. Concerning means I'm concerned I have a big red mark on my arm. Now, suspicious is, why is it there? Is it just dry skin? Is it an allergic reaction? Is it an infection? So that would be suspicious. So you have something concerning or suspicious examined by a professional. A professional would be most likely a doctor, right? Of course, there could be other professionals, but in this case, with a rash, you would go to a doctor. You should get that checked out. So if a friend is talking about a sore shoulder or a rash or something like that, you might advise them to get it checked out, to get it checked out. How about this? Oh no, I think I'm coming down with something. Oh no, I think I'm coming down with something. Oh, so maybe if you start to feel a little bit of a headache or some chills, or you start coughing, you might say this. Oh no, I think I'm coming down with something. So to come down with, now the something represents an illness, a cold, the flu. That would be the something. And it just means to become sick. So, oh no, I think I'm getting sick. I think I'm becoming sick. Oh no, I think I'm coming down with something. Now, to come down, I put it in the present continuous because it's happening now. Okay, if you say, I should check it out, it means you will examine your own headache. Because remember, the sentence structure is I should get it checked out, because you're not doing the action, you're receiving the action. It's in the passive voice. The professional is the one checking the rash out. Okay. The professional is the one examining the rash. You are receiving that, which is why this is in the passive voice. You should get that rash checked out. Exactly. I'm not feeling well today. I think I'm coming down with something. Absolutely. So you could use this if someone asks you to go to the movies, or maybe someone asks you out. Remember, that means a romantic invitation. You might say, I'd love to, but I think I'm coming down with something. It's best if I stay home. It's best if I rest, because you're telling the person you're not sick now, but you think you are becoming sick. So at that beginning stage, you want to take care of yourself, drink lots of fluids, get lots of rest, maybe even get checked out, be examined by a professional. Very nice. She came down with a headache. A headache after her work. Yeah. She came down with a headache. Just make sure you have the article a. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm feeling pretty bad. Honestly, guys, I'm not feeling too good. I'm not feeling too hot. Sometimes we say that I'm not feeling too hot, which is funny because when you have a fever, actually your body is hot. But when you say, I'm not feeling too hot, it means I'm not feeling well. I think something is wrong. I think I'm coming down with something. Yeah, exactly, Llama. If you say, I got my hair cut, you received the action. You didn't do the action. If you say, I cut my hair, then someone would say, oh, wow, I didn't know you did that. Exactly. Great job. Okay. Oh, I forgot this one. I'm trying to fight off a cold. So to fight off means to resist an illness or infection. So how do you fight off a cold? Rest, hydration, maybe vitamin C, maybe I don't know. What do you think? Everyone in their own culture has different remedies. In North America, we generally just get lots of rest, drink lots of liquids. And in North America, it's very common to just buy a big jug of orange juice because of the vitamin C. So those are the general everyday advice. That's not necessarily advice a doctor would give you. That's just home remedy of how you fight off a cold. Okay. So again, if someone invites you to the movies or asks you out, you can say, oh, I'd love to, but I'm fighting off a cold. I'm fighting off a cold, which means you don't feel good or you're just starting to feel bad and you want to take precautionary measures now, such as resting, hydrating, getting vitamin C, so you can resist that cold or illness or infection, whatever it is. Yeah, honey. Honey is absolutely one. I always drink hot water with honey and maybe a little lemon, especially if I have a sore throat. Yes, that's very common. Yeah, tea, aspirin, sweating. Yeah, a lot of people will have a hot bath or a steam to sweat. Absolutely. I've heard that before. Lemonade, I guess that also has some good vitamins in there. Very nice. Chicken soup for sure. Chicken soup is very North American as well. When you're sick, a big bowl of chicken soup is like comfort for sure. Okay. Yeah. Ginger, tea, and honey. Yes, I've heard that as well. Yeah. Love it. Okay. Let's keep going, everyone. You're very welcome. I'm enjoying it and I'm glad you are too. Yeah, I've heard garlic. I have heard garlic as well. Okay. Ugh. I can't shake off this headache. I can't shake off this headache. Ugh. I can't shake off this headache. So to shake off It means to get rid of something unwanted. So we use this as advice to someone if they can't get rid of an unwanted thought, maybe you just tell them, shake it off, shake it off. So just get rid of that unwanted thought, stop thinking about it. If maybe you got some negative feedback on a presentation you gave and you just keep thinking about this negative feedback, your friend might tell you, just shake it off, just shake it off. So here, to shake off a headache means to get rid of it, and it's unwanted. But I can't shake off this headache. So maybe you've tried aspirin, you had a nap, you drank lots of water, you had some honey tea, and you still have a headache. You can say, I can't shake off this headache. I can't get rid of it. Yeah, you can use it for insomnia, the inability to sleep. I can't shake off this insomnia. I was up all night. Perfect example. So we use this, remember, for something unwanted: insomnia, headache, a negative thought that's just stuck in your head. Yeah, it is. So this is interesting because coaches will often, so this is used when players make a mistake. Okay. And that is in their head. Oh, we made a mistake, or we're losing, we're not doing well. And the spirits, the attitude of the team is low. So the team will tell them, shake it off. So just forget about the miss, forget about the bad pass, forget about the goal, forget about the fact you're losing. Shake it off. Yeah, it's very common. Yeah, ignore it in the sense of like a negative performance, a negative thought. Ignore it, forget about it, stop thinking about it, for sure. This is funny. Yeah, I try to include these naturally to share the actual sounds that we make. So, this is when we like to show a negative reaction. My boss wants me to work late. My computer keeps freezing. So that's what we would say. Whoops. Whoops is when we make a mistake. So if I like accidentally hit the microphone, I would say whoops. Or if I change the slide too fast, I would say whoops. So when I make a mistake, you can say whoops, whoops. Oh, thank you so much for your support. Let's keep going. I'm still building up my strength after the accident. So we're in the general category of health or wellness. So in this case, maybe someone was playing football and they fell and they really hurt their leg or their shoulder. So it doesn't have to be a major accident. It could just be something minor like that. But still, you could have physiotherapy. Maybe your arm is in a sling or a cast. So it could still result in an injury. So if you build up your strength, well, just like you need to build up your vocabulary, so you learn and then learn and then learn and learn, build up. So you build up your strength, you regain some, more, more, more. So to gradually increase the strength you lost because of the accident. Now, it could be energy, muscles, just your health in general as well. All right. I spilled a tea over a guest at the restaurant. I couldn't shake off the guilt. So you want the noun form, which is the guilt. Guilty is you are guilty. It's an adjective, but you want the noun, the guilt. So just get rid of the Y. That's it. I couldn't shake off the guilt. So you keep thinking about how you are guilty. You picture yourself spilling the tea. Perfect example. I love it. Yeah, my friend built up his strength after a serious injury. Well done. Great job. How about we'll move on to transportation? Can anyone think of a phrasal verb that would represent this image? Ooh, what do you think? My car, my car. What could you say? My car. I'm building up my confidence by learning English. Exactly. Your confidence is here, but then you build it up, up, up. I'm building up my confidence. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Great job. Wow, my smart students. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Yes, my car broke down. And you got the correct conjugation because I said my car, and this is already done. So the past simple. My car broke down. Good job. Good job. Can you pick me up? Can you pick me up? My car broke down. My car broke down. So here I'm using the phrasal verb pick up, but I find most of my students already know this phrasal verb. So I didn't want to teach it to you, but here you see it in a natural example. Can you pick me up? My car broke down. My car broke down. So to break down, to stop working. And this is generally used for vehicles, any type of vehicles. It could be the bus broke down on my way to work. So of course, a public transportation, you can still use it. And machines, but we generally use this for very large machinery, factories, or just machines you would have at factories, warehouses, large operations. I wouldn't use that, for example, for my microphone, my blender, my oven. I would just say my fridge broke, my microphone broke. I wouldn't use broke down. So machine, think of large machinery. Can you pick me up? I need a ride. My car broke down. Okay. How about this? Sorry, I'm late. I was held up in traffic. So here, you're not doing the traffic or you're not doing the action. You're not saying, I held up traffic, which is grammatically correct, but it means you are the person who stopped traffic. So you could say, my car held up traffic. Because if your car broke down blocking the road, then you held up traffic. Your car held up traffic. Your car prevented the traffic. But in this case, notice to be held up. That's just like to get your hair cut compared to I cut my hair. I got my hair cut. Okay. So I was held up in traffic. So I was stuck in traffic. I was delayed because of traffic. My truck broke down along the highway for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. My car broke down. Yeah. Ugh. What a terrible day. What a horrible day. The bus broke down. Broke up means ended a romantic relationship. The bus broke down and we have to walk. This is the other confusing thing or difficult thing about phrasal verbs is if you use the wrong preposition, in this case, up when we wanted down, it can actually look very comical because the bus broke up. It sounded like the bus ended a romantic relationship, just like Leah broke up with her ex-boyfriend, right? So I know I wasn't laughing at you, Lama. I was just laughing at the example and the fact that it sucks that in English with phrasal verbs, you have to be so specific with the right phrasal verb. Exactly. Typo, typo. That was funny though. I can't pull into that spot. It's way too small. This is basically what I say to every spot, even though most of them are like giant. But because I don't like parking, I'm very paranoid with parking. I have to go into a huge spot. Usually, I take a parking spot that has two available just to make sure. But to pull in, remember, we're with vehicles, okay? So I can't pull into that spot. It means enter a specific spot. But remember, it's driving. So it's enter your car, drive your car into. And when I say car, I mean any vehicle, SUV, truck, van, bus, any vehicle. So to pull in, to enter a specific spot or location. We use this with parking spots, but you can also use this when you get to my house, just pull in. So enter the driveway of my house. So my driveway is not a parking spot or a parking lot, but you can use it just to mean enter my driveway, pull into the garage, enter the garage. But it's very commonly used when you're in you go to a big grocery store like Costco, Walmart, and you see all the lanes. Those are parking spots. And then you need to pull in to enter. I know what you mean, but we only use this with cars. We don't use it with people. You would just say, I'm skinny. I can fit into this seat. But I can okay, because I could say, I can't fit into that spot. And when I say it represents my car because I'm driving. So I see a spot, maybe my husband's like, there's a spot. And I see it and I'm judging the size. And I can say, I can't fit into that spot. I mean, my car. But pull in is when you enter that spot with your vehicle. It's only with the vehicle. So you wouldn't use it with you entering a seat. You would just say, I'm skinny. I can sit there. I can fit into that seat. I can sit there. Yeah, exactly. I'm skinny. I can fit into that seat. Exactly. Very nice. How about this? It's so hard to back out without a camera. Ooh. Maybe your car broke down, so you have a rental car, or you're borrowing a friend's car and they don't have a camera. In North America, all cars now basically drive themselves. New cars, I mean. Of course, there are many, many older cars on the road, but when you buy a new car, the car basically drives itself. There are so many cameras, so many sensors. You press a button and it pulls in, backs out for you. But here you might say it's so hard to back out without a camera. So to back out would be to leave a specific spot or location. But remember, it's not with me. I wouldn't say I'm backing out. I would just say I'm leaving. Okay? So this is only used with transportation. He crushed my car while he was backing out. Yes, a lot of people get into accidents as they're backing out because we call it blind spots. There are a lot of blind spots. So if you don't have cameras, there are a lot of blind spots, which means areas that you just can't see because there could be the door is blocking your vision, or just it's out of your line of sight. We call that a blind spot, a blind spot. Okay, so to back out means to exit a specific spot. You can use this in a parking spot, a garage, a driveway, things like that. How about this? I dropped off the rental car this morning. So we already learned this with the package. Drop it off at my neighbor's. So here, same meaning, to drop off, to leave something at a place. So in this case, you're leaving the car at a specific place, probably the rental car agency. I dropped off the rental car this morning. I dropped off. So remember, with your phrasal verb, you have the verb drop and you have the preposition off. So your verb is what you need to conjugate. So here it's in the past simple, dropped, dropped off, dropped off. And a lot of times, because prepositions start with vowels, not every preposition, because down is a preposition, for example, and down does not start with a vowel, but most of them start with vowels. So there's very often linking, which means the sound from the verb is transferred onto the preposition. Dropped off, dropped off, I dropped off, I dropped off. I'm annoyed by the beeps of trucks backing up. Yes, for sure, especially delivery trucks. Beep, beep, beep. I love that. Good job. Good one. The car scratched my car when he backed out. Yeah, very good, Ariel. Absolutely. That car scratched my car when he backed out. Just you need scratched in the past simple and backed in the past simple. Both of them are with the pronunciation of T. They're both ED, but is pronounced T. The car scratched my car when he backed out. Okay. All right, everyone. We don't have time for communication. We'll have to save those phrasal verbs for another time because we are at the end of our class today. So remember, you can get this phrase speaking guide. You can go to my website, and the link you see here, you can look in the description. And in this guide, I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. So just enter your name and email, and this will be emailed to you. And you can also join the Finally Fluent Academy. If you want to keep learning phrasal verbs, we focus on phrasal verbs, idioms, expressions in the Finally Fluent Academy, as well as with advanced vocabulary to help you sound fluent and natural, help you understand native speakers. Plus, you can ask any questions and submit exercises so you can get my feedback as well to make sure you're using them correctly. And put yes, yes, yes in the comments so I know you like this lesson. And do you want more lessons with phrasal verbs? Well, if you do, also put yes, yes, yes in the comments so I know you like this one and you want more lessons, because there are so many phrasal verbs in English and it's really important to learn them based on context because they have different meanings. So remember the context that you learn them in. That's super important. You're very welcome, and you rock as well. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. You're very, very welcome, Alexander. So nice to see you again. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. All right. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see all of you in the next one. Bye.